What's up, Deadheads, and welcome back to another Fear the Walking Dead spoiler review. Season 4, episode 8. No one's gone. This is going to be huge spoilers. And I'm giving you perfect opportunity to kind of back out now from this live stream because we will be talking about the major spoilers, the major directions. A lot of things were answered and a lot of direction was answered as far as where this franchise goes from last night's episode. And season 4 has just been absolutely brilliant so far. Not perfect, there was some kind of bumps in the road and some directions, but there's something happened last night that kind of shapes the entire landscape of the future for Fear the Walking Dead. And 3, 2, 1, last spoiler warning going right now. So 3, 2, 1, losing, what the Dickens, Miss Dickens herself, Kim Dickens, who is our Rick from this show, is no longer with us. Madison Clark, they were kind of teasing it back and forth all season so far. Once I'm just pulling up the chat real quick. And I'm just, like I said, this is just going to be kind of a quick review, but I just want to make sure if anyone's in the chat that we could talk about this, because we are definitely mourning together, I feel, because, it's just like Madison wasn't, hey, Psycho Cat and Man Cave MTG. There is some people here. What's up, guys? But this is such a huge blow to this series, and it doesn't feel, this franchise right now, and not just Fear the Walking Dead, but also regular Walking Dead, it's really taken a lot of lumps, especially these past couple of weeks with all the news that Andrew Lincoln's leaving The Walking Dead. Only has 6 episodes about left in season 9. Same thing with Lauren Cohen. So that's your big 2 in regular Walking Dead. And that Danae is not too far behind with being Michonne and all, because it's just she's just in all the big movies now, especially in the MCU. But I'm sure they're not going to be able to keep her around for very much longer. So it's just very doom and gloom. All this news that I talked about on this channel with ZeusTuber, at least we're just like, okay, so when we got Fear back, they were doing such a good job with everything. So I felt very optimistic, especially about this mid-season finale. And I'm not saying that this is going to be, we'll talk about the episode as a whole, but it really wasn't about the episode, because the episode was fine in the grand scheme of things. It was a well-shot episode. There was some funny stuff with, I just don't like the burnt walkers when they got in the diamond, and there's just some, close-ups. When they're kind of knocking on the SWAT thing, they looked pretty good. But the rest of them, when they're just kind of, when Morgan and now what's her name, June, she's just she's like Prince. She has like 8 names. But when Morgan and June, who the artist formerly known as Laura or Naomi, but we'll call her June from now on, are in that tunnel, the Walker effects did seem a little rubber suitish to me. Even some of the ones where when Madison's kind of by herself in the flashbacks, and that one kind of smacks his face up into the car window. Not the best Walker effects in this one. But still, that's just a minor gripe. That's just a small episode gripe, so to speak. But, let's kind of scale it back. The episode, and I got the feeling, I'm like, oh shit, are they going to do it? Because it had that. The episode basically opens on Madison's face, like a big close-up of Madison's face. And she doesn't look so good, but I'm just like, okay, so this could either go one of a couple ways, one of 3 ways, really. And the first one was, I thought that was when she was dying, basically. Maybe she got bit and because she looked tore up. But to be fair, so does Alicia and Strand and Luciana in the present time in our timeline for the show. But Madison looked real sick, real bad. So I'm just like, oh shit, is this going to be kind of a flash forward, flash something to show kind of Madison's last moments? I'm like, God, are they going to really pull the trigger on it? But another thing that I thought was, okay, she's going to have this little side mission to kind of, in the present time, to meet up with the other members. But that was a short-lived kind of feeling, especially after it showed that who she was talking to in the campfire scene, and that was Al. And just the fact that she found Al in the wilderness by herself, I'm just like, okay, it does have that kind of flashback filter on it, because one good thing and one kind of bad thing you could say about what they've done this season with the timeline jumps is you never have to guess where you are, where they're currently showing you where in the timeline they are, because when it is the now, it is very kind of like a grayish bluish filter. It's very cold looking, I guess you could say, where when they do the flashback scenes, it has that more warm kind of yellow orangish light brown feel to it, that tint. So you never have to guess where you are in the timeline. So the fact that it was a campfire, so of course maybe that was playing tricks on the camera as far as the color grading went, but you kind of figure out pretty quickly that that is when Madison and Al are meeting, and it happened before Al kind of met up with the rest of the crew. So, they have the little scuffle in the beginning, and there was no real stakes with that, because, how screwed up would that would have been. It's like Al was the one that killed Madison this whole time, just by that scuffle. That would have been interesting way to explain it. But almost would have rathered. Well, we'll get to that later, but they have the little thing. She finds the tape. She's looking for her kids, and that point we find out that her kids are still alive. And, I don't want to do a big play-by-play recap of this episode, because it is really about just them ripping our hearts out with the decisions they made. I guess the cliffhanger and the redirect or the misdirect rather is John Dorie going to live or not? And a lot of the times I thought, shit, it looks like John's in really bad shape. Maybe he isn't going to survive. And that would have been absolutely catastrophic, because I think he is a fantastic character, a fantastic new character. And with how all the old characters, all the actual Fear the Walking Dead characters have been dropping like flies lately, I felt like there was no way that we could lose someone as riveting as John Dorie, especially with the kind of sync up with June. So, he was kind of relegated just to laying down, getting tended to from the group. And so, we flash back to them infiltrating the diamond, and there was just a ton of walkers there, which, like I said, sometimes the makeup and the effects didn't really hold up, but the MacGuffin, so to speak, is John Dorie going to bleed out before June and Morgan could go get to the supplies, the medical supplies. And that was we thought that was MacGuffin enough, but then you have our fear group, our Clark family, or what's left of them, because we only have the one Clark now and Alicia, but she has Strand and Luciana, grenade launching the side of the SWAT van. And I did like the comparison that Al gives Alicia, that she basically calls her vehicle a turducken, that it's like a armored car or a tank in an armored car in something else. But it was pretty funny. But and then out of nowhere, she pops the door off. So I wasn't sure about that either. I kind of had to suspend my belief. If anyone else watched the episode, if you want to explain that to me, I would be more than interested, because you have the three up there in the stadiums, in the bleachers, shooting grenade launchers at the van as a diversion. So you had Alicia come down and slowly take off the hinges of the door when there's walkers around. I didn't get that one bit. I thought that was kind of ridiculous, but nonetheless, we have our old our chat's going crazy. We have our old crew kind of become the antagonists of this episode. And it's really hard to figure out who you're supposed to root for. Are you supposed to root for our fear group, our Clark family, so to speak, even though, we like John so much? And yes, June, it appears on surface level, has betrayed everyone, and we probably, want her dead, and you can't really root for her, but she's also with the best part of this show, and Morgan. So of course we don't want anything to happen to him. So it really tugged on your allegiances in this episode, which was kind of a cool and a weird thing all at the same time. I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know who I was rooting for. Obviously you're rooting to see more rubber suited zombies get mowed down by Al's SWAT van, because that was really cool looking. But you don't know, because Alicia pops in there and she starts fighting Al, and she starts holding her head down to the Walker horde. And I thought maybe that was kind of a callback to when the governor did that to his first lieutenant when they were playing golf, and they actually ripped him apart. I'm just like, damn, if Al goes out like this, that would be crazy, because it just seems so abrupt and so extreme that Alicia, Strand, and Luciana would just be like emptying their arsenal on the van and everybody, because they didn't really have any problems with Morgan. And even Morgan said that. He's like, they don't want to kill me. They don't want to hurt me. They really just kind of want to get to June and Charlie. So it's hard to root for a group that just wants to kill a little girl, even though she's kind of an asshole, kill a little girl and this woman trying to save one of our favorite characters. So it was a weird juxtaposition to make us kind of root against our series antagonist, or protagonist rather. So that was kind of a weird direction that they took. So, of course, they go down, they find the medical supplies. They have the little scuffle back and forth. We get more flashbacks to Madison, and this is all, the more they talk, the more it's kind of revealed that, between Madison and Al, it's kind of revealed that she just wants to, they got separated at some point, probably after what happened at the dam. And, well, I guess it was some place in San Antonio. They had some undisclosed place near San Antonio that didn't go well, so they all kind of dispersed after that, but that all happened off screen. This is just explained by exposition, but we find out more and more that Madison is just wanting to build this normal life for her kids. She wants to give her kids stability, and yes, I get that as a parent. I get that completely, but this is a different situation, and she even says maybe what I'm looking for doesn't exist. And it almost feels like Al kind of talks her into that, not giving up and still trying to do this kind of lifestyle and provide this kind of lifestyle, not just for her children, but for others as well, and to become kind of this leader and this leader of the safe haven, which would go on to become the Diamond. But in this kind of a world, it's nothing's too long for it, because people like the Saviors or people like the Vultures will always try to obtain what others are sustaining. And it's just not really realistic. And everyone kind of learns this harsh lesson. And even like, now to think about it, like, I want to know what happened with, Shame on the Show, because in season 3, it had this amazing setup with this community in another stadium, but I guess that was in Mexico or Baja. And that was this whole kind of bizarre kind of this giant kind of almost casino world, the Farmer John or Proctor John's little area. And I mean, we never find out what happened with him. And even if something did happen to him, maybe that could have self-sustained, because it seemed like it was guarded very well. It was fortified nicely. And it's just like, so maybe there wasn't even any reference to that, but I don't know. I'm getting off track, but that was just one thing that kind of stuck out to me when they just couldn't make this Diamond, this baseball stadium work, is, well, these people made it work. And yeah, I guess there was a ton of population there, but it just seemed like the most civilized, even though it was ran by a crazy asshole in Proctor John. It just seemed like a well-oiled machine in this kind of zombie apocalypse. But I digress. Let's kind of move on with the episode. So of course, we get the back and forth over the radio. Al and Alicia not only are trading gunfire, they're trading blows, they're trading quips, but Alicia happens to see the tapes and then kind of goes over and she sees that name, and I'm blanking on the name that they gave the bird or whatever, that she was talking about in the flashback with Al. So she knew that was from her mother, and she's watching the tape and everything like that. And then, of course, we find out later that They literally pulled the trigger on the Rick. So we're not gonna have Rick Grimes, we're not gonna have Madison Clark, we're not going to have the people that have led this show. Shocking enough to lose Travis in last season, because I thought Travis, I liked Travis more than I liked Madison, and I thought, if anything, if you lost Madison, at least you'd have someone like that. But, I thought Kim Dickens and the character of Madison did a fine enough job, and actually a very good job, especially at the second half of season 3, front running the show. And I think she did a great job, and I liked her kind of change in tone in the flashbacks of this season. But it just wasn't to be. It wasn't to last, because all this stuff happens, and of course, there's a little bit of tense moments within the SWAT van with Morgan and Al and John, and is John going to survive? Because at that point, the writing was on the wall. You kind of knew what was going to happen to Madison. And at that point, I knew what they were doing. I was just like, oh shit. So yeah, we're going to keep John, because we're literally just picking off and we're just whittling down 99% of the Fear the Walking Dead cast, which just sucks. It just sucks. But they come back, they fix John up enough for him to be okay. And then they all kind of put aside their differences, so to speak. And Alicia wants to tell her story, because Al asked, yes, I knew your mom. She didn't give me her real name or whatever. She did. They found out that they were all connected, or they did meet up before with the kimchi noodles. Chemistry brings the world together. But they pull over on the side of the road. They have their campfire. And then and then we get the scene, and then we get to see exactly how it transpired and how we lost Madison. Which, yeah, she basically Pied Pipers all of the walkers back into the stadium. I guess she, as Alicia or all of them kind of mentioned, that she tried to go around the other side of the gate, but it was just too full. And then, this is the thing, and I already see the posts online, and I already see the early reviews, where it's, this calls back to season 2 mid-season finale with Daniel, Ruben Blades' character, in the Casa La Villa, or whatever you want to call it, in the villa, where that burned down. And you don't, like the episode said, no one's gone. But she even said, Madison even says in the episode, no one's gone until they're gone. So yes, Madison, is fighting off Walker. She has a gun. She has a flare. She takes a couple shots. If I were her, and this would have been, I think, if Madison is gone, which I think she is. But she, like I said, she died off screen. So there is that little 1% chance, that they're leaving it open for her to return. Which I don't think is the case, but who knows? We did get Daniel back, where it looked like it was like an insurmountable kind of return, but he did, and again, he's gone again. I don't know why you would go through all that trouble to bring him back just to lose him again, but whatever, show. But yeah, man, that's what happens with all characters when they die off screen. There's always that little window of doubt. Did they really die? Because it just shows her literally to the point where walkers are almost in finger length, where she has the flare, she throws it, and then you just see kind of the whole thing go up in flames. I get, it kind of does show her die, because it looks like she starts a fire on the dead grass maybe, and she just gets real bright, and there was really nowhere to go. So like I said, 99% sure that she is dead. And it's just so bizarre. It's okay. So here's my big problem with it, because deaths on these shows, especially deaths like Frank Delaney's death, whatever happens with Andrew Lincoln coming up, Lauren Cohen, these are decisions from these actors to either want to progress their lives, because being an actor on these shows is a huge time and just living situation. All this stuff, it's this giant investment. And yes, I mean, you signed up for this, you're getting compensated very well. You're on, one of the biggest shows of all time. So there is all these things, but it gets you to a point where you kind of want to do other things. You don't want to just be pigeonholed. Everyone from the original cast of Walking Dead has been doing this for 10 years, or going on 10 years, or we're going on 9 years actually. But that's a whole like decade of your life. And that's huge, especially when you're in the industry like that and you want to go out and do other things. So, like someone like a Sasha, she wanted to go do Star Trek and do some other things. And I totally understand that from an actor's point of view. I totally get that. Like I said, that's why when we did lose Nick, which was such a huge blow, and it just makes Madison's death feel less meaningful because you only have one Clark child left, and that's Alicia. It feels like her sacrifice is only, half of impactful as it should be. And it does make Charlie feel more like a villain because she did take away half of the reason why Madison selfishly made that sacrifice. But it feels skeezy to me. Her death feels skeezy to me. I mean, just listening to her on Talking Dead afterwards, just listening to the article, she was heartbroken. Kim Dickens really loved this role, and she did a great job with the role. And it's just unfair that now there's new showrunners coming in and they went, okay, so, Fear the Walking Dead is not nearly as viewed as regular Walking Dead. What can we change? What can we put our stamp on? And I totally get that because, season 2 of Fear was bad. I mean, it really was. And sometimes it wasn't just the situations and stuff. Sometimes it was some of the actors. But I think that they kind of fine-tuned and hone their skills and hone the show in season 3. And then the start of season 4 has been absolutely incredible. Is Fear the Walking Dead better that Madison Clark is written off? Fuck no, it's not. I can't say it is. Is The Walking Dead going to be better without Andrew Lincoln? No, but he wanted to go do other things, and that's his, he's a human being. He's allowed to do that. But to have, just kind of corporate skis come in and say, well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing. And I want my people. It's like a football coach, in like the NFL or something, where they come in and they fire the entire staff. They fire all, they get rid of a lot of players. They bring in their system people, which, fine. I understand that. But it's just like, then call it something else. Do something else. Don't make it Fear the Walking Dead, because for all intents and purposes, Deadhead's Fear the Walking Dead is over. Fear the Walking Dead ended season 4, episode 8, mid-season finale. No one's gone, right? It's just, this is not going to be Fear the Walking Dead anymore. This is a spin-off. This is a blood relative to The Walking Dead with minor characters from both sides, from both shows, because now you have, you almost have as many Fear the Walking Dead characters as you do regular Walking Dead characters. So it should just be its own thing. I mean, you have Morgan from The Walking Dead. Now you have Alicia, who's been there since season 1. And then you have, the beginning of season 1. Then you have Strand, who's been there at the end. And then Luciana, why do we have Luciana? Could we have had anyone else? Like, I'm not even saying anything to the actress. I think she does fine. She's actually not really my favorite as far as in the acting department. But I mean, why is she there? I would have rather had that one kid, when Madison was a counselor in school, find his way back somehow. The kid that left on the bus that kind of called this whole thing. I would have much rather had him come back and show up and be this season's Morales. Why do we have Luciana as the Morales? Luciana was just kind of a complimentary piece to Nick's character, really. I mean, she didn't have, her whole story arc and everything wrapped up with the end of season 2 with the whole little group in Mexico. So why the hell is she here? And why does she seem so vested in? I don't know. Her presence to me at this point is kind of bothering me. And I would be very surprised if she makes it to the end of this season, especially with how they're getting rid of anyone, or getting rid of everyone. So I mean, this is not Fear the Walking Dead anymore. This show has ended. This is now whatever it is after this is now something else. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. Am I still going to watch it? Yeah, because I'm having a ton of fun with Al. I'm having a ton of fun with I love Strand. Alicia's a little shell shock right now, but Morgan's riveting. It's going to be interesting to see. But what are they doing? The vultures are gone. I mean, is the rest of the, this is kind of going into speculation area now. Is the rest of the group literally going to make the trek back east now to get, because we had that monologue with him talking with Morgan talking Alicia down not to kill June, where he said, someone told me that I'm gonna be around people again, and I wanted to prove them wrong, so I ran across the country. So we had a nice little callback to Rick. But it's just like, but we've seen this before. We've seen Morgan go on his own, and then Morgan go and join up with Alexandria, or Morgan leave on his own, and then Morgan go and join up with the Hilltop or the Kingdom. So it's getting a little bit repetitive, and it's getting a little bit just crazy at this point. It's just like, I mean, at this point, I don't know what they do for the rest of this season. I really don't. Are they gonna try to? Are they all just gonna live in a SWAT car and then pick up random people to get them on camera, get their stories? There's just nothing to do. Are they gonna go find a new stadium or a new place to try to set up a town? I just don't see it. These people that are left, like a Morgan, like an Al, are just too much of like these nomads that are kind of homeless people that just live on the road and have these interactions. So I don't know. It's just very bizarre, the direction, what they're gonna do, what they were thinking, and it really sucks to get rid of the entire cast of people that we've been following. I'll say diehard Fear the Walking Dead fans, because there are very few of us, but people that we've invested all this time and energy into and emotions into, and now they're just kind of written off so willy-nilly. They're just kind of tossed aside. They gave an impactful death to Nick, and they gave it a nice send-off scene to Madison, but it's like their stories had so much more going on. They're very rich and deep characters, and these were front-running type of people, and it's just so abrupt. And literally, now what do? Do we just start to go back east, just only to find, when Morgan shows up, only to find that we've lost Maggie and Rick? I mean, and then it's, what is it? It's not Walking Dead. It's not Fear the Walking Dead anymore. It's just something else. It's just something else. So that's it for me, Deadheads. I don't know. I'm gonna keep trying to do Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead in the off season. Definitely after Comic-Con, I know ZooSuper and I were talking. We'll probably be back doing another kind of sit down chat about whatever news comes out of Comic-Con. Probably some, more season 9 info, and still trying to get this kind of big Walking Dead community, family summit together with other larger channels. So it looks like some things that were released lately that might be a possibility. So, but thanks for sticking with. I'm not. I'm just. It's just. I'm a little heartbroken today. It sucks because there's no letting up in the Walking Dead lately. It's just we just. It feels like it started with losing Nick, and then we heard the news about, confirmed with Lauren Cohen leaving, and then Andrew Lincoln, and now losing Kim Dickens. And it's just, Felix is joining us, but it just seems like there's no letting up in this kick to the balls. But it's gonna be interesting to see how they close this up, what they're doing. Just wish it would have done a little bit different direction. And this does kind of put a cap on the flashbacks. So I mean, going forward, I do assume that we're kind of done with the flashbacks, especially because Frank Delaney and Kim Dickens are no longer in the show. So I think they can only keep them around doing these scenes for so long. Otherwise, what was the point of releasing them anyways? So it does look like maybe there'll be a time skip or something. Maybe they'll meet up with the Commonwealth first, and maybe that will go over. Who knows? I don't know I don't even know if they're going to do the Commonwealth. I don't know if they're going to do the Whisper War. I don't know anything anymore about this franchise. But like I said, I'll try to pop on every once in a while. Maybe not every week, and especially the next 2 weeks, I'm going to take off from Walking Dead news unless something huge happens and I have to talk about it, just for more of a moving kind of thing. So, but that's all the time I have. What did you guys think about this mid-season finale? What do you think about the direction, the future of The Walking Dead, of Fear the Walking Dead? We just, like I said, I just sat down with ZooSuper and talked about all this, but this really kind of clears some things up. And opens up a whole new can of questions. So very interested to see. So until next time, Walking Dead family, deadheads spread the disease.